And if anybody else joins us, well, they'll just have to wait a minute. All right, this is the second class here. We're still on Unit 1, Part 2, Capitulum Unum Pars Secunda. And this is where you get introduced to the first declension nouns and where we get to grapple with some grammar. And I do have a short digression on pronunciation, which we'll get to in a minute. All right, let me mute everybody. Okay, there we go. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. We talked about pronunciation last time, and I intentionally avoided something. But since some of you are in the Schola or Scholas, more than one, you may have noticed there's a difference with what we went through and what is outlined in the Liber Usualis, and I thought I would touch on that. I call these the pronunciation wars because various groups have various pronunciation schemes that they're devoted to and claiming that everybody else is a heretic. Anyway, I mentioned last time on the classical method and the ecclesiastical method of Latin, pronunciation is outlined in columns. Now, if you're in a Schola, there is also some, what is in the Liber Usualis, which there's a slightly different method that was established by Pope Pius X. And it was right around the turn of the 1900s. Might have been I want to say 1902, somewhere in there. Anyway, so there are three main camps of Latin pronunciation. I alluded to this a little bit in last time, in that I had others that I listed that we weren't going to talk about. We did talk about classical, Collins, which is in the primer. And the third one is Pope Pius X. And as I like to say it, all are religiously defended by their most devoted adherents. And all have good reasons for the pronunciation rules they use. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I did think I would like mention it in case there's any confusion. Again, keep in mind we have no recordings of spoken Latin until the late 19th century. Okay, so we've had to reconstruct it. Classical Latin is a reconstruction of the Latin spoken by the upper crust of the Golden Age, roughly from about 100 BC to 200 AD. That happened during the reign of Charlemagne. You may have heard of Alcuin. He basically, by the time we hit, let's see that, let's call it 800 AD, roughly. Latin had degenerated into so many different pronunciations because of the evolution of local languages that it was determined that with the reunification of Europe by Charlemagne, that they really needed to get the act together. So Alcuin was tasked with this, and he produced something that was pretty close to what's known as classical Latin. Ecclesiastical Latin is trickier. It was spoken for centuries, different geographical locations, etc. And so how do you choose a standard? And well, we have classical, where all consonants are hard. There's long and short vowels. We have Pius X, based on late Italian, as seen in the Liber. He did hard and soft consonants, like what we have, and all vowels are long. That's why when you look at a liturgical missal or something, that they mark the accents, because since all vowels are long while you're singing, you don't know where the stress goes. And then the primer, which is the method used by a large part of Europe, I've heard it called Continental Latin. I honestly don't know what the correct name of it is, but it is Ecclesiastical Latin. We have hard and soft consonants, just like Pius X, and we have long and short vowels like the classical, which in the Liber they don't have. So, really, they're both perfect. The primer and the Liber both have perfectly good systems of pronunciation. Generally, what I have seen is if you started out in a schola, you probably learned the Liber method. And if you started out speaking it, you probably learned the primer method. At least that's generally been my experience. The one we use is definitely a wider geographical region than just Rome itself. Not that Rome is, anything wrong with it. The other thing is vowel quantities are important. If we take annus, that means year. Okay, short A, double N. If we take annus, yes, that is where the sun does not shine. We took that word directly from Latin. And then if you use a short A, annus, that is an old woman. So vowel quantities have an important function in spoken Latin. And so by emphasizing in this class and the brand of ecclesiastical Latin that I use, the long and short vowels, it will help show you where the accent is. That's a little harder with Pius X, the method in the Liber, because you got to know where the accent to get it right, because all the vowels are long. Probably makes it a little easier to speak, but you never know where the accent is just based on that. So anyway, which to use? Hey, when in who was it? St. Augustine said, when in Rome, classical, if you're reading classical. I don't know if anybody does that in here, but if you are, you should probably use a classical pronunciation. It's not that different from what we are. If you're in the schola, well, that's easy, whatever the schola leader asks. Not everybody in scholas use Pius X. And for us, of course, we're using the primer. The other thing to keep in mind is your ears tend to hear what you expect to hear. And so it's sometimes hard for me to distinguish between the two, because I actually expect to hear those long and short vowels. So I don't know if I fill them in mentally or not. Don't know. But the bottom line is the Liber and the primer are pretty much the same, except for the IOU. We have long and short versions, and we pronounce the consonant H. And in the Liber, it is sometimes swallowed, depending on, well, I think it's always swallowed, actually. I think it's always silent in the Liber. So anyway, the differences aren't that great. And if there's any confusion over it, I've got a number of videos that I can point, YouTube videos I can point people to if they want to know the history of it. But it is a very long history. These reconstructions, by the way, did not happen like last century. They've been an ongoing thing. So anyway, enough. Let's get, a random history fact. Yes. The Latin Psalms and the Roman Breviary are not from the Vulgate, but are from an earlier edition of the old Latin versions of the Bible based on the Greek Septuagint. So if you actually get out a Roman Breviary and you put it next to your copy of your Sixto Clementine Vulgate, and I'm sure everybody out there has one, right? I do. You'll find that they don't match. And that's because a lot of the Roman Breviary texts actually predate the Vulgate, even though the Vulgate came out in the end of the 4th century. It took a while for it to be widely accepted. Latin Psalms and the Sixto Clementine are based on the Greek Septuagint, so the Breviary and the Vulgate aren't hugely different. Well, none of them are different because they're all based on a common source. The modern Liturgia Horarum uses the Nova Vulgata Psalms. And then Pius XII authorized the use of Psalms based on the Hebrew versions. And they were written in a very classical style. So if you've never seen, if you run across those, they're very different. Let me put it that way. So we have 5 versions of the Latin Psalter in the above, just random fact. All right, enough. Let's get on to vocabulary. Were there any questions on pronunciation before we move on? Anybody have any burning questions?
Michael?
Yes.
It wasn't clear to me where among these contestants you were saying that we were going to fall.
Oh, we're using the one in the primer.
Okay.
Yeah, we're using the one in the primer. That's the one I learned, by the way. So it's a case of he who chooses the textbook makes the rules or something, I guess, in this case.
Yeah, we have a rule in our household that you don't take the course, you take the teacher.
Okay. Anyway, so we learned some principles of pronunciation last time. Now we got to learn some vocabulary. That's where things start to get a bit interesting. The primer starts with nouns, and that's where we'll start. But before we do this, there are some things that are peculiar to Latin nouns we need to understand. They work differently than what English nouns work. And if you've read through the notes, you will see they work very differently. But we're going to go through it systematically, and hopefully I'm going to throw some Latin phrases at you that hopefully you recognize. If you've been to any number of Latin masses or said any Latin prayers or anything, then you should recognize them. If you don't or have never been to one, well, you're going to learn extra. You're going to see some of the phrases. So the first one, let's look at these, which are hopefully familiar. There's the Pater Noster, qui es in celis. That's the Our Father, right? And then we have the sign of the cross. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. And then, of course, we have the Glory Be. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto. So you see Pater here, Father. You see Patris here, and then you see Patri here. Likewise, Filii, Filio, Spiritus Sancti, Spiritui Sancto. So you can see that you've got these basic forms, kind of P-A-T-R, or Filii, or Spiritus, but you see that the endings change. I mean, the basic, as I said, the basic form looks the same, okay? But the endings are different. We really do not see that in English. English does change endings, which a little bit we'll get to. But this is really the first introduction you have to a critical element of how Latin nouns work. Latin nouns change their form depending upon their use in the sentence or phrase. And this is very, very important. It's not totally unlike English. English nouns, we changed our form. We change between plural and possessive, right? So we have father, fathers with apostrophe S, fathers plural, and fathers with an S apostrophe. So we go singular, possessive, plural, plural, possessive. Okay. English is not exceptionally regular because we do child, singular, child's, possessive, children, which is plural, and children's, which is plural possessive. A little more complicated. But again, we change the endings in English when we go between singular, plural, and possessive. So, we could look at this. Well, there's other places English does it. So singular, one cat. Possessives is, and we take the root word, by the way. Possessives, we take the root word and we add apostrophe S. Okay, not all words, most of them, or a lot of them anyway. So we have the cat's pajamas. Plural, you take the root word and you add S. So we have two cats. And plural possessive, we have the cat's pajamas. We have more than one cat. We do not know, however, how many pajamas we have there, but we do have more than one cat. We also switch pronouns depending upon their use in the sentence. I, he, she, or it hit the ball. In this case, these pronouns are the subject, the doer who's doing this sentence. And then the ball hit me, him, or her, which is known as the direct object. It's the object of the verb that the action is being done to. So in this case, it is the ball that hit one of us. So we also change words in English in one other place, similar to the me, he, him, her. If we say the batter hit the ball to me, he, him, her, or they, here we have the subject is the batter who did the action. The direct object, what was the action done on? That was the ball. And then the indirect object, to whom was it hit? It was hit to me, him, or her. So we do see in English that it does have a kind of English used to have a similar case system as Latin did. It goes all the way back to something called Proto-Indo-European, which I don't want to get into, but English along the way dropped all of those cases, and we only have a few echoes of them in our language. So anyway, I think you can see that English has a few rules on changing word forms, depending upon what the word is and how it's used in the sentence. But Latin does this much, 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 much more so. Latin is what is known as a fusional language because all Latin words change form according to how they are used in a sentence. Well, I should probably put in almost all. There's a few words that don't, but they're the exception. And this is true of nouns, verbs, adjectives, the whole lot of them. So to understand even the simplest Latin phrase, you need to learn what forms are used in the various situations. So now, going back to our original set of phrases, and we look a little more closely at this, we see Pater noster qui es in celis, our Father who art in heaven. Pater is the subject here, okay? In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. We can rewrite this. It'll be rather cumbersome, but we can rewrite it as in the Father's, the Son's, and the Holy Spirit's name. So what we see here is this is a form of the possessive. So Patris is Father's possessive, Filii is Son's possessive, and Spiritus Sancti is the Holy Spirit's. They're all possessives now. And lastly, we have the Gloria Patri. We have glory be to the Father and to the Son and to the Holy Spirit. So these become our indirect objects. If you remember, I talked about, let's see, yeah, the batter hit the ball to me, him, and her. This is known as the indirect object, if you can remember your grammar. So Patri is to the Father, Filii is to the Son, and Spiritui Sancto is to the Holy Spirit. Now, one thing you might notice, and I actually am going to repeat it in another chart or two, is you just see Patri, Filio, and Spiritui Sancto. There is no to. There is no the. Latin does not have a to or a the like that. The way it works is like up here, we change the ending in order to get the right function of the word in the sentence. So anyway, if you come away with anything tonight, there's 3 basic rules on how I want you to memorize these 3 basic rules on how Latin nouns work. First one, Latin nouns change form to match usage and meaning. The second one, Latin nouns change form to match usage and meaning. And the third one, Latin nouns change form to match usage and meaning. And there's one last one I want you to remember, and that is Latin nouns change form to match usage and meaning. I hope you can take a hint here because this is really, really important in Latin. And we'll actually get to some examples here in a minute as to why it's doubly important. Anyway, so Latin nouns we see are regular. The same set of rules apply to each set of nouns. There's actually 5 sets, of which the first 3 are the really important ones. And we're going to get to the first set here, which is in the first unit. And so the important thing is unlike English, where you don't necessarily know some of the details of the noun, in Latin nouns, once you know the declension it belongs, with very rare exception, it follows a very exact pattern. So, yeah, and as I said, English nouns are irregular, okay? So you guys actually, Latin is actually easier in this regard. So you have 1 noun, 2 nouns, adding an S, 1 child, 2 children, but 1 fish, 2 fish. How many out there said red fish, blue fish silently to themselves? You have children, don't you? 1 self, but 2 selves. 1 body, but 2 bodies. 1 mouse, 2 mice. So English is all over the place. The good news is we've already learned English because it's a hard language. So, okay. What we're going to learn here is something called the first declension nouns. They are nouns that end in an A, like we see in the Ave Maria. Maria, of course, being the one that ends in A. We saw a number of words: Maria, Grazia, Plena, Benedicta, and Hora. There's also Nostre, which we'll get to in a minute as well. But these all end in A, and they all belong to something called the first declension. So we're going to start with some words from Unit 1 to help us learn how the Latin nouns change form. So really, we're going to learn forms and nouns at the same time, and that's really the only way to do it. Any questions so far? Or have I lost everybody somewhere on the North Freeway?
I like red fish, 2 fish, 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish.
Yeah. No? All right. So take the following. This is our first word, femina. The accent is on the FE because the E is long. The I is short. So we move from the second to last to the third to last vowel. And this is a real easy word to remember. It is a woman or female. And that's where English gets the word feminine. So femina, cena, dinner, ecclesia. Well, that should be easy to remember because we have ecclesiastical Latin. That's where we get the word ecclesiastical. Aqua. Well, that's already an English word of sorts, okay? I don't know if we inherit it from one of the Romance languages or what, but everybody should know what aqua is. And then vita, life. So you see, these all end in A, okay? And they all belong to what's called the first declension, all right? So now let's look at what 2 or more of them are. We saw what plurals were in English. So femina a woman, we put an AE on the ending, féminin, to mean women. Well, follow through with all of them. Cena, one dinner. Cene, dinners. Ecclesia, one church or a church. Ecclesiae, churches. Aqua, one water, water. Aquae, waters. You may remember the psalm by the waters of Babylon. I forget which psalm that is. Vita, one life. Vitae, lives. There you go. There you go. So we see that to make it plural, we simply switch from A to AE. Pretty simple, okay? Any questions there?
Can you please pronounce again the plural form, like the ne? Is it ne, feminine?
Yeah, femina, femine. This is a
Ne,
a.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you remember in the first class, the sound it makes is like in the long A sound, like in date or they or hey, but the thing is in English that's actually a diphthong. So we kind of go a, like they, we go a. Well, you want just you want that kind of it's really a long e. The short e was eh, and the long e was eh. Okay. So femine. Okay.
So how do we say water of life? Okay.
So anyway, so aqua, aquae, vita, vitae. Any questions? All right. All right, so one of each that possesses something. And this, in some sense, models English because femina, a woman, a woman's, femine, it's the same word. We put the same AE on there. Well, like English, we put an S for both the plural and the possessive. And in this particular case, in the first declension, it works out to be the same. We put the AE on there to make it plural, or we put the AE in there to make it possessive. So cena, cene, dinners. Ecclesia, ecclesiae, churches, as in possessive. Aqua, aquae, waters. Vita, vitae, lives. So kind of like English. I mean, it's not an S, but I think you can see that we're sticking the same ending on there for both plural and possessive. Good so far? Okay. Now, we've got plural and we got possessive. So let's play around with this a little bit. We can give the woman dinner, a church, and a life. So the woman's dinner would be femine cena. The woman's church would be femine ecclesia. And the woman's life would be femine vita. Now you said, well, wait a minute now. Hold on. I also said that femine could be women, plural. This is true. But if we put women in here, it does not make any sense. So this would be the woman dinner, the women church. I don't know. That sounds a little heretical to me. And then the women life. No. This is, and you know, in some sense, this is no different than English in that if we say, you know, when we make the plurals in some cases, now in this particular case, woman is the, and woman's is the possessive, whereas for plural, it's women and women's. But you do have to pay attention that when you're, it's a little easier after you've had some practice, but you do have to pay attention how those possessives change. Actually, let me go back to that for a second. Any questions? Okay, anyway, so one other thing is English has two ways of indicating possessives. We can say someone something or the something of someone. We can either use the apostrophe S or we can use the of. In Latin, there is only one way to indicate possessives, and that's to use what's known as the possessive ending or the genitive. We'll talk in a minute about some of the terms there. So feminae cena can mean the woman's dinner or the dinner of the woman. Either way. And actually, you can also say cena feminae. You can reverse these words. The word order is not important, which you'll see here in a minute. But this femina cena means the woman's dinner or the dinner of the woman. And we saw that in the sign of the cross. In nomine patris, we don't say in the Father's name and the Son's and the Holy Spirit's, which is kind of, I don't know, to me that seems awkward. We say in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. So, all right. So, yeah, as I said, sometimes you need the context to know what the phrase means. It's no different in English. If I come up to you and say, the animal's hair, well, am I talking about the hair of one animal? Or am I talking about the hair of more than one animal? Now, we write them differently because in writing, we want to distinguish, but in speaking, there's no way to tell unless you pick it up from content. So we can say the church's property, there's one church, or the church's property, multiple churches. Or we can say the church's property's parking lots. And if we really want to pack it on, the church's property's parking lots means one church, one property, and more than one parking lot. So if you're feeling intimidated by the Latin a bit, just keep in mind that English is not much better in this regard. So, any questions so far? All right. So now we've had both singular and plural. So, and we've had singular possessives. Now we get plural possessives. So if we have two or more, one woman is a femina, but if we want to say women's possessive, feminarum. Cena is a dinner. Cenarum would be the dinner's dessert. Ecclesia is one church. Ecclesiarum are churches, possessive plural. Aqua, water. Aquarum, waters. Vita, one life. Vitarum, lives. So we see that in order to make a plural possessive, we switch the ending from a to arum in order to do this. And don't worry, we're going to have a table later on that'll hopefully, you can refer to. What I'm trying to do here is get the concepts down so that you understand what goes on with a Latin noun. Any questions there? I think everybody's asleep. Maybe I should turn on video. See how many people are sleeping. All right. Now, we played around with the words when we had the singular version. Now we can mix things up with plurals and possessives. And so we can say feminarum cena, the women's dinner, aqua vitae, water of life. And by the way, whiskey goes by that name. That's another name for whiskey. I don't know why they call it aqua vitae, but they do. Feminarum vitae, women's lives. So hopefully you get an idea here how these endings work. And we'll tackle the endings methodically in a table later on. But there's a few more things we need to know about a noun, Latin nouns. And we saw that Latin nouns end in A is singular, AE is plural or possessive, RM are the plural possessives, that is plural and possessive. They're also feminine. Okay, most of them are feminine. There's a few that aren't. So now we're going to depart the relatively safe haven of the parts of Latin that are similar to English and start talking about the parts that are not even remotely similar. And the first one of these is, unlike English that lacks grammatical gender, most European languages have grammatical gender. El niño, boy. La niña, girl in Spanish. Boy is masculine, girl is feminine, okay? And I don't mean just biologically, I'm talking about grammatically. Grammatical gender is a language construct that only loosely follows or is related to physical gender. Now, certainly, grammatical gender matches the physical gender of those things that actually have a physical gender, like people. So it shouldn't surprise anyone that the word dominus, Lord, is masculine. And later on, we're going to see that a US ending noun like that indicates it's probably a masculine noun. Shouldn't surprise anyone that the word Maria or Mary is feminine. But these are people, okay? Once you leave the safe haven of people, like hand, manus, and foot, pace, are masculine. I don't know why, but they are. Head, or caput, is neuter. So you can't say that, you know, any particular thing is necessarily masculine or feminine based on sort of, or intangible nouns, if you wish. If it's a person, then yes, it does. But otherwise, it has a gender that is associated with the word, and it is simply a grammatical construct. And by the way, this is true of French, this is true of German, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Romanian. I'm good so far? Okay. All right. Pater. Oh, yeah, these are more nouns. Sorry. Pater, masculine, no surprise. Filius, masculine. Filia, daughter. Yeah, you know. Spiritus Sanctus is masculine. Oddly, Trinitas is feminine. So the Sancta Trinitas is a feminine word. Now, that doesn't mean God is feminine or anything. As I said, it's just grammatical. It's a grammatical gender. It's a construct. So anyway, so for people and animals, it generally matches our intuition. For non-people, all bets are off. And I don't know, I guess the Trinity is not really a people. I'll have to think about that. Anyway, so to summarize, Latin nouns have gender, masculine, feminine, and neuter. Oh, I think I left that slide. Yes, we have three genders, masculine, feminine, and neuter. Number, singular and plural, which we saw earlier. And lastly, case, which you saw, but you probably didn't recognize. And gender and number aren't so bad, but case is the one that's gonna be the tricky part for English speakers. Case, and I was alluding to this earlier, case is how the word is used in a sentence. We already saw two cases. We saw femina and feminae, woman and women, nominative, meaning the subject. And then we saw feminae and feminarum, woman's and women's, a genitive possessive, or okay, possessive noun. The fancy name for a possessive case is called genitive. And the fancy name for a subject type noun is nominative. And you're going to have to learn these names because that's what grammarians use, and it doesn't matter which language you are in. Anyway, but you've been using two cases, namely the genitive and the nominative in English, since you learned the language. So we need to do the same in Latin, but not just the genitive and the nominative. We have 5 more cases besides the genitive and the nominative. We have the dative for indirect objects. We have the accusative for direct objects. And we have something called the ablative, which has absolutely no English equivalent. It's the instrumentality, and I'll explain what that means here. So just hold on. We also have something called the vocative for calling somebody by name, and we have the locative for signifying the place. So, let me fix that. By name. Could you hold on just a second? I need to fix something here. Just hold on, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. All right, where were we? We're not going to cover the vocative or the locative until much, much later. So really, the first 5 are the important ones. Those are the nominative, the genitive, the dative, accusative, and ablative. And so, don't worry too much about these at the moment, because I will go through and explain them, but you do have to understand what they are. So let's see here. So the nominative case is used for the subject of a sentence. It answers the question, who did it? Who does it? So the real simple word here, let's take an example, is the woman ate. Well, who ate? The woman. That's the subject. So if we were to use our nominative case in our example, we would say femina ate. Now, ate is not the Latin word for eating, ate, but I'm just sticking the Latin word in an English sentence so you can see how it functions. Everybody understand that? Okay. If we wanted to say the women ate, feminae ate. So we have the nominative case, we have singular, and we have plural, okay? So we use the nominative case when we saw in the Pater Noster. Pater Noster qui es in caelis, our Father who art in heaven. So Pater, Father, is the subject of the sentence, so it uses the nominative form here. Now, I'm a bit hampered here because we don't have a whole lot of great nouns in prayers that I can use as a template. And we're learning that we're doing first declension or feminine nouns. So yeah, you're going to see later on that pater follows a different form. than the feminine nouns, but the same idea applies, is that for the subject, you want the nominative. And maybe I can come up with a good prayer that starts out with a feminine noun in, well, I guess Salve Maria would be, or Salve Regina yeah, I probably should have used that. Anyway, the genitive case is used to show possession. Answer the question, whose? The woman's dinner, or the dinner of the woman, either one. So if we say the woman's dinner or the dinner of the woman, cena feminae. If it's the women's dinner or the dinner of the women, it's cena feminatum. So we saw those two forms earlier as well. Any questions there? Okay. So we saw the genitive earlier in the sign of the cross. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. The genitive is in red. We use the word possessive back there. Yeah, it's not an A ending noun, but again, same idea. The dative case is used to show the action to or for a noun. What I mean by that is it answers the question to or for whom. For example, if we say the dinner was given to the woman, to whom was the dinner given? The woman. So if we take the dinner was given to the woman and we're going to Latinize it, the dinner was given to the feminae. And you're going to see that the AE ending is what we use for the dative case for first declension nouns. The dinner was given to the women, plural. You're going to use feminis. And again, I'm going to have a table for all of this. So hold on, hopefully it won't, when we get to the table, things will settle out. I'm just kind of, again, trying to get the concepts down because this is very different from English. The dative only exists in English for pronouns. This is where we said, you know, the dinner was given to him, her, or them. We changed he, she, and they into him, her, and them for a dative case. So English does have a dative case, but it's kind of puny and sickly. It's almost extinct. So we did use the dative case when we recited the Gloria Patri. We said Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto. So the dative is in red. So again, yeah, I know these are not A ending nouns, but hey, again, the same principle applies. I'll show you what the endings are here in just a second. The accusative case is used to show the noun that the verb is acting on. It answers the question, what? So our example is the woman ate the dinner. What was eaten? The dinner. So we have to use the accusative word dinner. Well, for first declension, it is cenam. We put an M on the end. So the woman ate the dinner becomes the woman ate the cenam. If you want to feed the woman a whole bunch of dinners, excuse me, the woman ate the dinners would be the woman ate the cenas. So for one, as for plural, and it's when it is what's known as the accusative case, or in English, the direct object. Any questions so far? Probably 1,000. No? No questions? Okay. So anyway, if you ever recited the creed at Mass, you use the accusative, whether you realize it or not. Credo in unum Deum factorum caeli et terrae. Well, that is all in what's known as the accusative case. Ending in M on a noun, singular noun, is a good indication that it's accusative. So I know, yeah, they're not A ending nouns, but same idea. And cheli et, whoops, whoa, how'd that become an R? That should be an et. And these are actually genitive. We already saw the terra, terre earlier. So the ablative case, now this one is really abstract because we don't have anything that quite resembles it in English, but it answers the question of how or with what. So if we said the woman ate the dinner with water, how was the dinner eaten? It was eaten with water. Now, I'm sure everybody would rather use wine here like any other sensible Roman, but vinum is not a feminine noun, so water it is for tonight. We'll get to the neuter nouns later. So the ablative of the word aqua is aqua with a long A. So the woman ate the dinner with water. Femina ate cenam with aqua. So that's how the words change depending upon the position in the sentence. We can even make a sentence out of these cases, which I hope will help you remember them. We can say who gave whose, what's it, to whom, how. So the nominative gave the genitive's accusative to the data with the ablative. Makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe you. No, the example here would be the woman hit the girl's ball to Mary using a bat. So this is the subject, it's the nominative case, the girl's ball, so we got to have the genitive of the girl. The ball was what was hit, so that's accusative. We hit it to Mary, which is dative, with the indirect object, and we were using a bat, and so that's the ablative. So I realize Latin nouns are one of the harder aspects of Latin. English really does not have this, except in a few special cases, as we've seen. It's also one of the most important properties of Latin nouns. Well, we saw the first surprise, the Latin noun has gender. And you saw the second surprise, Latin nouns have case. So we're going to have one more surprise, and that is Latin word order is very, very flexible. Unlike English, which has a very strict word order, Latin nouns can appear in almost any order. Now, what do I mean by English has a strict word order? Well, let me give you an example. If I have a sweater and it is red, I say red sweater. Suppose it's wool. Do I say wool red sweater? No, I say red wool sweater. Suppose it is made from alpaca. So then it becomes, well, okay, you don't get wool from an alpaca. Let's see. Knitted. Yeah, let's throw in knitted. Then I say a knitted red wool sweater. I can't say a wool red knitted sweater. I have to put it in a certain order, okay? This is also true of our sentences. We have subject, verb, and then object. I hit the ball. You don't say the ball I hit. Well, unless you want to sound like Yoda, which you can. But in Latin, because the words are fusional, you can put them in any order you want. Well, within reason. So we have femina, woman, cena, dinner, and is eating is ate it. So we're going to use an actual Latin verb there. So if I wanted to say the woman is eating dinner, femina ate it cenam. The woman eats the dinner, is eating the dinner. Cenam there is in what is our accusative case because that's what's getting eaten. Femina is in the nominative or because it's the subject. But I can also say femina cenam ate it. That is not the woman dinner eats or woman, it really means the woman is eating dinner, okay? It does not mean anything else. And cenam edit femina is the woman is eating dinner. It does not mean the dinner is eating the woman, okay? Fortunately for the woman. Cenam there is in the accusative case, and that means it's what's being eaten. So in the above, femina is nominative, and it's the subject regardless of the word order. And in above, cenam is accusative, and it is what is being eaten regardless of the word order. So you got to get the case ending right, or you're going to end up like that poor woman whose dinner ate her. And you see that in the Our Father. We say pater noster, Father our. Okay, and we'll see it in other prayers where word order has been reversed from what normal English is, and this makes Latin a very melodic language. Well-written Latin just sort of, maybe not right now for you guys, but it rolls off the tongue because of the way the syllables and the words are can be ordered. So we can say, and this is great for poetry because poets, you know, they can fiddle around with word order and make all kinds of good things. So to summarize, all Latin nouns have number, singular or plural, gender, masculine, feminine, and neuter. We are learning feminine nouns first that end in dash, that end in A. Case, and the ones we're only worried about right a moment are the nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. The other two, the vocative and locative that I mentioned, they're special cases and we can ignore them for now. But you know, for those who've heard of them, we're not going to neglect them. It may sound complicated, but it's not quite as bad as it looks. English has some of the similar rules. English uses what are called helper words, whereas Latin uses endings. But again, the endings indicate grammatical function, and thus nouns can and do appear in just about any order. And so here is the final table that we've been sort of accumulating along the way. Any questions? There's got to be some, unless all of you have had Latin before. This should be very foreign to you.
I appreciate your
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is Monique. I'm sorry I was late joining you, but I'm having difficulty hearing other sounds.
Oh, is there something in the background?
Something is. Are we muted, or I unmuted myself, but I didn't know if we're all muted or.
Well, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself. But are you getting background noise?
I am, but I didn't know if that was.
Let me talk to my background noise.
Oh, it's okay. Never mind then.
Hold on.
I don't want to mess with the family, but it was just for some reason I couldn't really hear everything you were saying.
Oh,
so.
I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the background tonight.
I hope you're feeling okay, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm doing all right. Yeah. Considering I have extra holes in my body, I'm doing quite well.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, here are.
I do have. I'm sorry. I do
Go
have
ahead.
one. I'm not familiar with the term declension. I probably should, but it's blocked from my mind from my college classes. So what would be a synonym for declension?
Oh dear.
And I'm asking you this when you have extra holes in your body.
No. Actually, no. I hate to. I'm embarrassed. Nobody ever asked me that question before.
Oh.
Michael, may I?
How about prototype? Is that any better? You got one, Teresa? Go for it.
All right. One of the books that I have, they say that declensions are basically the groups of nouns and the different forms fall away or decline from the root. So
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's how it
think
got
about
its name. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they cascade down from the root. So if we start with a nominative, you know, like femina, and then we just go down the list, femine, femine, feminam, femina, and okay, maybe I should have put it in a giant column. Then we could have declined. Then we could have fallen down the hill all the way. But it fit better in this case. So yeah, it's called a, it's referred to as a declension, and we decline. Yeah, it's like conjugations, but for nouns. Yeah. Catherine. Yeah, Catherine said that. Yeah. If you know what a conjugation is for a verb, then it's the same thing, only for a noun.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. Okay. So let's see, where are we here? Okay. Actually, we're not doing too badly. Any other questions? Okay. Now, as I said, they're almost all grammatically feminine. There is an exception, and if we're gonna read unit 1. Oh, actually, here, let's go here. Oh, no, wait. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let us decline a noun that is given in the book. Let's start there. So we're going to do vita, and the root is vit. So we drop the A on the end to get the root. So the nominative, vita, life. The genitive or the possessive, vitae, so of life or life's little pleasures or troubles or whatever. Dative, vitae, for or to life. So if you are pro-life, in Latin, you would be pro, oh, never mind, because that takes the, never mind. You would, this is a case of me engaging the mouth before the brain catches up. Forget that. Vitae, to or for life. Vitam, and then ablative, vita, from, with, in, or by life. And we'll discuss, we're going to discuss some of these in more detail as we get along, because I know they're kind of a little bit nebulous at the moment. But still memorize the endings and what they go, and memorize the names, because we got to kind of start someplace, and this is where the book starts. Anyway, plural, vitae, lives, vitarum, of lives or lives. Ooh, I did not mark that as a long A. Shame on me. There. I promised for new words, I would put the markings in. Vitis, to or for lives, vitas, accusative, and then vitis. And so if you go back up here, you see that the dative and the ablative both have the is ending in plural, and you'll see that a lot in the other declensions. So any questions on how it works in the sense of how you form it? Not works as in, now we're going to do sentences. You understand what I'm saying? You know, if I were going to say, what's the genitive of vita? And you did your homework, you could say vitae. Okay. So, and oh, by the way, speaking of A ending nouns, humane vitae is one of them. Well, vitae, life, we just saw, and humane is human. So it's an adjective, and adjectives follow the same rule as nouns. Okay, we're going to do adjectives. I think it's unit 4, if I remember correctly. But they follow the exact same rule as nouns, so they're not a big ending. So we have an AE ending and an AE ending. So it could be genitive, dative, or plural. But if you read the encyclical, it's clear that it's genitive and it means of human life. So now you know what humane vitae means in Latin. Where does the of come from? Okay. That's because it's genitive. Okay. This is the genitive form, and you can either say, okay, we can do it one of two ways. We can do it the ugly way. Oops, let me type this in. You will find my surgery did not improve my typing any. Human, humans. Life. Whoops. There we go.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why is is vitae not lives with a VES?
Because, okay. All right. You understand why the humane is of human, right?
Yes, because that's the genitive.
All right. What is human? It is an adjective. So an adjective has got to go with a noun. So if we take off the human of a moment, it would be of life. Okay.
So the adjective and the noun both have to be.
The adjective and the noun are going to be one another, and they're going to be in the same case. And I'm trying to think of, let's see, what's humans? Boy, let's see, humans, lives? I guess we don't do life. Wow. One life, but if you're going to do a plural, oh no, you do lives, don't you? There we go. Yeah. Humans' lives. That's, yeah, which is kind of ugly in English. So make sense, maybe? Yeah, and it could be, and it could be, yes, it could be the lives of a human. Somebody suggests, well, what about lives of a human? And you're right, it could be the lives of a human.
It couldn't be of human lives with a VES?
No, it should, okay, the literal translation is of human life. Catherine suggests that why isn't it the lives of a human? Because we could have lives, and then we could say of a human. And the answer is because there's more. The way they name the encyclicals is it's generally the first words of the opening paragraph of the encyclical. And so if you had the whole the whole first paragraph of the encyclical, it would be very clear that it would be of human life. But yes, you're right. As it stands there, and we didn't know what the person was talking about. It could be a number of things. It could be lives of the human. It could be of human life. It could be the humans of life, although that's kind of strange. So somebody said, is that because of the word order? Deb, I'm not sure I know what you mean by that. You can unmute your microphone. Oh, okay. You got it now. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. Anyway, so now we got a whole bunch of nouns. And this is where you're going to have to do some actual work between now and next Thursday. I'm pretty sure I captured all of the nouns in the first unit. They are first declension nouns. They all end in A. And then the way you list a noun, and actually this is like the next lesson. You list the nominative ending and the genitive ending and the gender. And we'll talk more about that. But these are all feminine nouns with the exception of one. And that is Papa or Pope. Now, last I checked, in the nearly 2,000-year history of the church, the Pope has always been a guy. And so, and for that matter, Papa is the, well, we have it in English too, you know, mama, papa. I mean, it means, it's another word for father, an endearment. So papa, pape is actually a masculine noun. There aren't many, but they do sneak in. And I'm pretty sure the reason Collins stuck that one in there is because, you know, just to warn you. So, you know, do note the occasional masculine noun that ends in an A. But aqua, aquae, water, cena, cene, culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, blame or fault. Doctrina, teaching. Ecclesia, church. Familia. Familia, you'll see it sometimes translated as family. It really means the extended family, the household, and it generally includes the servants. So you will sometimes see, if you're looking in a Latin mass, the word familia, and you glance over to the English translation and it's the, you know, we, your servants. There is a special word for servant, which is servus or serva. What I'm warning you here about is, yeah, the good news is we have a lot of Latin words, or a lot of Latin root words in English, but you got to be a little bit careful when you go between the Latin and the English, because sometimes over history you gain stuff or you lose stuff. Familia is one of them. Gloria, gratia, hora, missa, natura. Terra can be the earth, as in the planet Earth. The land, okay, as in the land, as in land, you know, like property, the ground. It can also be the land you live in, like England. And then, of course, vita. So those are the ones you need to work on, and you need to work on the endings. Let's see, what have I got next? Oh, yeah, here we go. Now, you've been actually, if you've been using the Ave Maria, you've actually been using some of these. Maria is nominative. Grazia plena modifies Maria. So those are actually nominative. Benedicta modifies Maria. Sancta Maria, Holy Mary. Hora is our, and then nostre is the genitive form of, excuse me, of nostra. And let me see what we got left here. Okay, so any questions? We're actually done slightly before 9, for which I'm kind of impressed and amazed and horrified, because I figured there'd be more questions.
Can you give us some exercises to do?
Yeah, okay, yes. Actually, okay, speaking of homework. All right, right now, I just want you to memorize the endings in the vocabulary at the end of Unit 1 as best you can, okay? Okay, let me check something. Yeah, reread Section 1. stop at section 4 before you get to prepositions, okay? Prepositions take particular cases. And right now, you don't have any good way to hang the cases in any particular pattern, which is why you want exercises. We're going to get that next time, okay? So for now, just, you know, work on the endings and vocabulary of Unit 1. I realize this is a bit of a drudge work, but you do need to get these down so they become easy. Easy is in quotes there. So if you want to memorize a vocabulary word, the best thing to do is to link the word, the Latin word, to a cognate, an English cognate like aqua. Well, that's probably not a, well, we already have aqua in English, sort of, but aqueous, aquatic, aquarium. Culpa, culpability, culprit. Mea culpa, straight out of the Confiteor. So, as I said, listening, writing, and speaking Latin phrases will help with this memorizing, but right now, you only know a few words, and all you know are some nouns, and you don't have much of a way to construct little fancy phrases to help you with that. We will fix that. We'll start fixing it next time. I believe I have a crossword puzzle. I will check if I think I did a crossword puzzle of, no, I take it back. I'll have to reserve that for next class. Next class, we're going to have prepositions, and that will allow us to construct some simple phrases that will help us memorize some of these. And so, as I said, read section 1, first declension nouns, read the grammar part, stop at section 4, prepositions, because that's a whole nother dimension to Latin that is can cause some confusion, because as I said, we change endings to mean different words. Commit the endings to memory, write them out, sing them in the shower, whatever, but commit them to the vocabulary to memory, because this is the way you're going to build up the vocabulary and the grammar. And yeah, right now we don't have a good way we can't construct phrases that will help us. But once we get another little bit more Unit 1 and a little bit of Unit 2, that'll become much, much easier. And as I said, I got some homework exercises, crossword puzzles that I can send you guys, but that's for next time. I don't think I have one for this, this half of the unit. So, yeah, if you do look at section 4, you'll see that Latin prepositions take one case or the other. So that's why I'm hammering the cases. So don't worry about that yet. But do memorize the endings. Any questions? And yes, I promise you exercises next time, which we will then go through on the, let's see, today's the 12th, so we got the 19th. And then after that is Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Yep.
I have a feeling there's not going to be a burning demand to meet on Thanksgiving.
Are you providing the turkey?
It would have to be a virtual turkey, since this is a Zoom session. And no, I don't know what Latin is for turkey. There is a Latin word for turkey. I think what they end up doing is using the genus and species for those things that they didn't have. Which, yeah, they didn't have a common. Yeah, there were no edible turkeys in Rome for the first, well, for a long time. So yeah, we will. Next time we'll add the prepositions. And then we'll take that Thursday off because it is Thanksgiving. And then we'll come back and we'll do the exercises. And since you've had 2 weeks to do the exercises, you know, you should have them all down, right? Right? All right. Any more questions?
I just have one question
Sure.
about that lives and lives, because being an English teacher, there's no such word as lives with the apostrophe S.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Is it when we make it possessive? Let's see.
Well, when you make it possessive, it would be lives, like a human.
All right, with an E. Okay.
Or if it's a plural, humans, all humans, lives. But it wouldn't be apostrophe S, it would just be the plural. But if you're talking about the lives of humans, then it would be apostrophe S.
Well, this is.
Vita would be.
You spelled it right the first time. It's of human lives.
Yeah.
It's LIFE.
No, there's no such word.
Yes. My life's work.
Yeah, my life's work.
If I said my life's work, I would not spell it with a V. I would spell it with an F.
Okay. Well, okay, that's okay.
It's singular possessive.
Yeah.
Human life.
Okay, yeah. But if you're talking about plural, it would not be. If it's
but this isn't plural. Okay.
Okay.
Well, okay.
I thought that was.
I did not give all of the various. I did not give all the various possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah, you could have HUMAN, humans, lives, but, well,
okay.
The problem is that's an adjective. So it's not, you need to, well, okay, it could be humans' lives, plural. Or I mean, yeah, it could be humans' lives, plural. But let's see, what else could it be? Well, there's a couple others it could be. But the point being is you can, humane vitae, if you can remember it's of human life.
Okay.
You get two genders.
The point is that there's two forms of stating what humane vitae is in English. One is of human life. The other form is humans' lives.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you'd actually have to take that off. Human lives. No.
Human lives.
Humans. Well, but it's not, okay. Yeah, I guess we could do plural. Human.
Yes, I was interpreting the vitae as the plural rather than the singular. Vita, I guess, but it can be sometimes.
Well, if you go back to the encyclical, that's what it is.
Right.
It means
I understand that.
It's singular. It's not plural.
Right. It's not. Yeah, it's singular. It's not plural here, and it's genitive. But if you try and make it plural, then we, human.
It would have to be. It would have to be vitarum for it to be plural.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, we can make the noun plural. Vita, one life. Vitae, lives.
Right.
But how do you stick an adjective in front of it? We would, in English, we would have to do this.
Yes.
Right?
But of lives would have.
Yeah, I know. Hold on, Alex. I understand what you're about to say. In order to make this humans' lives, we'd have to make this a plural possessive, right?
Okay.
That's not a plural possessive.
Okay.
Humanatum would be the plural possessive. So so this is either plural or possessive. And so you can't make it a plural possessive. So you either have this, which without the apostrophe doesn't make a lot of sense because you got an adjective there. So let's, yeah. Yeah, humans' lives. No, but it's not apostrophe S. Whoops. Oh, sorry, we want S apostrophe. It's not that.
It's not possessive.
Because this is not.
It would be the ARUM.
Yeah, it'd be the arum ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it could be if you were talking about reincarnation.
There's one in every. There's one.
I'm not talking about that. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's see. Can we make it reincarnate human?
Human apostrophe.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, you'd have to have an arum in there someplace, I think.
Well, I know. I'm just saying there is a possible way of working that over.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, but this is a warning. Now, as we get into actual phrases, it's going to be it'll be a lot clearer. The problem is we only know a few words, and it's hard to construct things that make a whole lot of sense across the board. So that's by the way why I resorted to the Pater Noster, the Gloria Patri, and the sign of the cross, because that way hopefully that's something most of you are familiar with.
Right. Okay.
Oh, is this Robert? Hold on, Robert just joined us. I got to find out. Robert, is that you? Did he make it? He doesn't have his microphone on. That's too bad. Anyway, if I'm not mistaken, that is Robert, who is joining us from Spain. If I have the right Robert, apparently he's on a business trip in Spain. I told him he was out of his mind because it makes it like 3 a.m. where he is. But hey, dedication. All right. Let's do the sign of the cross, etc. And I'll hang around for a few minutes for additional questions, but we did hit our 9 o'clock time, and I'll let people go. I want to let people go who need to disappear. So, in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. So those of you that need to go, have a good evening. I will see you next week. Work on the endings and the vocabulary, and then we will add some more stuff next time that'll hopefully be able to give us a few sentence or simple phrases that we can work with the declensions. So, and there we go. And if you have any questions, I'll stay on for a minute or two.